Hi, I'm Matt from Trinity, and you're watching 3-Minute Theology. Last week we ended by talking about Pilate, and I want to circle back to that part of the line where it says suffered as we talk about this next line in the Apostles' Creed, which was crucified, dead, and buried. This story of Jesus' crucifixion, or the Passion of Christ, this passion story is a pretty familiar one for most Christians and can be pretty emotional. I mean, this is a pretty horrific thing that Christ went through, being beat, tortured, forced to carry this cross, and then crucified. Crucifixion was a terrible and painful way to die. Throughout this process, there's numerous things that could have led to your death. But one of the ones that is mentioned in John, in the Gospel of John, we see that the guards go around and they start breaking the legs of the other men who are crucified with Christ. The reason being, the thought behind this is that you would have to lift yourself up to draw in a breath on the cross. And if they broke your legs, you couldn't breathe as well. You couldn't lift yourself up as well, so you couldn't draw as much oxygen in. You'd eventually asphyxiate and die on this cross. And yeah, obviously a very terrible, agonizing way to die. But during this passion story, one of the things that sticks out to me personally the most is on the night of Jesus' arrest, when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane and he's praying. And the Gospel of Mark actually records Jesus saying, Abba, Father. Abba is this Aramaic word that means like daddy, a very emotional word using to describe Father. So Abba, Father, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. And that speaks to me a lot. It speaks to me so much that if you see behind me, I actually have this as my own personal prayer altar I've set up in my office. And I have a cup. This is a communion cup from some old church. And I have this on my prayer altar because it reminds me as there's these cups in our lives, these things that we struggle with and go through. And that Christ went through these same things. Christ went through things that he wished wouldn't happen. He knew this was going to happen. He knew what terrible things he was going to go through during the crucifixion. And yet he was still willing to carry out the Father's will. And so as we think about the things that we struggle in our lives, these cups that we have, we know that Christ is there with us, that Christ is there in our suffering and is going alongside us. And that just really speaks to me as a Christian. So that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow for notifications, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. And my prayer, as always, is that God would use this video to speak through me to your hearts and minds, so that he may reveal himself more and more to you and draw you near and nearer to him and conform your will to his. Amen. Hope you're enjoying this content. Be sure and tune in again next week, and I'll see you again on 3-Minute Theology.